Mic check. Good evening, everybody. If everybody can please take a seat, we're about ready to get started.
Y'all got so quiet so fast. That was awesome. Great job. I'm sure that all the teachers in the room are very impressed. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Today is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, and this is the regular meeting for the Litchfield Elementary School District Governing Board. I hereby call this meeting to order. Thank you guys. There's so many of you that are here tonight, and we're very excited to get to celebrate your students. If I could please ask Victoria Snodgrass from Palm Valley Elementary to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
You got this. Ready? Just start it. Ready? Okay. Start. Come on.
I
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Nice job. Nice job, Victoria.
Thank you. Next, we're going to take a moment of silent reflection. Okay, and now we are going to move on to the whole reason that there is so many amazing, wonderful people here is recognitions and celebrations, and this is going to be led by Executive Director Nuanez.
Good evening, Madam President, Governing Board members, Dr. Davidson, and fellow cabinet members, and guests both present and online. It is a privilege to stand before you tonight to celebrate some truly exceptional achievements by our Litchfield learners. Litchfield Elementary School District takes great pride in providing every student with the best academic experience possible. And tonight, we are thrilled to recognize a group of students who exemplify excellence in learning. These students achieved remarkable success by achieving the high max scores on the AASA testing last April, demonstrating their hard work and their dedication. Each of these students has shown exceptional commitment to their studies and set a standard of academic excellence within our district. Their success is a testament not only to their effort, but also to the dedication of their families, their teachers, and the entire Litchfield community. We are incredibly proud of what they have accomplished, and we know their futures are bright. These high achievers represent the best of LESD 79, and we are excited to see the positive impact they will continue to make both academically and beyond. So congratulations to these students, and thank you for your hard work, dedication, and perseverance. You're an inspiration to us all. Now please come forward as I call your name, and we will do this alphabetically by school. Starting with Barbara B. Roby, high max score in ELA, Elena Hernandez.
Come down before?
Yeah. Yes. Come on up forward. You will be taking a picture with Superintendent Davidson and Governing Board President Zaidama. Okay. Barbara Roby, high max score in math. Vivian Lay. All right. Yeah. Let's get them all together, all the same school. Yeah. There we go. Okay, now, everybody? All right, congratulations. All right, stand by now for Belen Soto.
Well, you announced like, so we're gonna take one group photo?
Yeah, we'll take one big group photo with all the entire school. All right. Okay, here we go. Belen Soto, the Storm with high max scores in ELA. Davis Smith. High max scores in math for Belen Soto. Brecken Sislow. Isaac Kimberly Black. Lincoln Meek. John Wolf. Dominic Palmisano. Kenton Makuma. Thomas McCormick. Victoria Espy. Ryan Arnsbarger. Grayson Molenberg. Cole Stafford. Evelyn Shepard. Aaron Gentry. Alaya Rubio. And Austin de la Cruz. All right. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, high max scores, Belen Soto. All right, moving on to Corte Sierra, high max scores in math. Ethan Balsan. Alaya Elicio. Ivy Hendershot. Connor McGurk. And Diego Aguayo. We got one more. Ladies and gentlemen, Corte Sierra high max score. Okay, moving on to Dreaming Summit. High score, ELA, is Matthew Ortiz. That's the only one. Matthew? Matthew? Okay. Bueller? No? Okay. All right. So people got it. I'm not as old as I think I am, right? Yeah. All right. Moving on to L. Thomas Heck. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I got this straightened out here. Okay. L. Thomas Heck, middle, max score. Hold on. Hold on. Let me make sure I didn't get these. No? Yeah, there's one student from Genie. Okay, gotcha. Oh. That's the one we called, Matthew Ortiz. Vincent Harvey? Sorry about that. Dreaming Summit. Vincent Harmon. Argo. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, moving on to L. Thomas Heck, high max score ELA. Jasmine Hernandez. Okay. L. Thomas Heck, Troy Gilbert Elementary. In math, Zobeda Hale. Jasmine's not here? No Jasmine? Jasmine? Okay. All right, that's the only one. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Got the Troy Gilbert as well in LTH. Isabella Dueñas. Ruby Lay. Michael Saldana. Victor Guevara. And Jasmine Hernandez, once again for math. All right. L. Thomas Heck and Troy Gilbert Elementary. Also apologize if I mispronounce your name. I'm trying my best here. Okay. Litchfield Elementary high max score ELA for Litchfield Elementary Owls. Nathaniel Lewis. Francis Frazier. And Michaela Kolowinski. Okay, LES, high score max in math, Nathan Franklin. Caleb Jowett. Nathaniel Lewis. Cole Hammer. Blake Summers. Francis Frazier. Jackson Merrill. Molly Lure. And Donovan Reese. Ladies and gentlemen, how about them owls? All right, now on to Mabel Paget, high max score in ELA, Alexia Lade. Mabel Paget, high max score in math, Santiago Collier. Miguel Collier. Kaisuke, Maine. Jameson Gonzalez. And Grant Hoosevelt. Is that it? Okay. All right, congratulations. How about them Panthers? Okay, moving on to Palm Valley. High max scores in ELA. Brooke Gutierrez. Carter Grayson. Palm Valley. High max scores in math. Adrian Sneed. Fiona Woodland. Simon Nichols. Olivia Franklin. Sophie Quinones. Matthew Yonamine. Vivian Snodgrass. Duncan Wary. Jacob Jimenez. Alexander Gonzalez. Stella Wojcicki. Brooke Gutierrez. And Emma Matthews. All right. How about them Thunderbirds? All right, moving on to Rancho Santa Fe. High max scores in ELA. Lucas Beckstead. Yeah, still group one. High max scores, Rancho Santa Fe in math. Saul Acero Chaires. Lucas Beckstead. And Kylie Flores Arzeta. Congratulations. And Broncos. All right, moving on to the final school of our Group A. Scott Libby Elementary, high max scores in math. Briley Bauer. Landon Mokarski. Alaya Morales. Rafael Leo. And Adriel Camacho Estrada. Congratulations, Roadrunners. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our celebration for Group A. We have some cookies for the kids and some waters on the way out so we can bring in our second group. Carberry.
Can you make sure, please, that her child has a name?
What school?
He was at Litchfield last year when he received the scores, and now he's at Western Sky for 6th grade.
Okay. What's his name?
Hudson Cagle.
So he was at Litchfield,
He was at Litchfield last year.
but he's at Western.
He's at Western Sky this year, yeah.
What's his name?
Hudson. Last name is Cagle.
Hudson Cagle, right there.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
It's all current. Where they're at their current school.
Hey guys, we're going to get started with this second group in just a moment. So if everybody can get ready, we're going to start this second round of celebrations. We will let Executive Director Nuanez lead us in our celebrations.
Okay, welcome everybody in our group 2. Thank you for being so accommodating and patient while we got through the first group. Once again, good evening, Madam President, Governing Board members, Dr. Davidson, fellow cabinet members, guests, both present and online. It is a privilege to stand before you tonight to celebrate some truly exceptional achievements by our Litchfield learners. Litchfield Elementary School District takes pride in providing every student with the best academic experience possible. And tonight, we are thrilled to recognize a group of students who exemplify excellence in learning. These students achieved remarkable success by achieving the high max scores on the AASA testing last April, demonstrating their hard work and dedication. Each of these students has shown exceptional commitment to their studies and set a standard of academic excellence within our district. Their success is a testament not only to their effort, but also to the dedication of their families, their teachers, and the entire Litchfield community. We are incredibly proud of what they have accomplished, and we know their futures are bright. These high achievers represent the best of LESD 79, and we are excited to see the positive impact that they will continue to make both academically and beyond. Congratulations to these students, and thank you for your hard work and dedication. You are an inspiration to us all. Now, as I call your name, please come forward to take a picture center up here with Dr. Davidson and Governing Board President Zaidama. And we are starting with high max scores for Verado Elementary in ELA. Molly Farrell. High max scores, Verado Elementary for math, Ava Barnhart. Ryan Flagg. Maverick Basigio. Dominic Johnson. Javen Dramos. Molly Farrell. And James Kennedy. Congratulations. Superstars. All right, moving on to Verado Heritage Elementary. High math score, ELA. Bastian Huggins. Penelope Miller. Verado Heritage Elementary high max scores in math. Will Farnsworth. Madeline Wilson. Giancarlo Arroyo. Dylan Malakovich. Benjamin Alexander. Brinley Fuimaono. Madison O'Hara. Logan Allen. Samuel Wilkins. Aiden McFall. Lorabella Hang. Elliot Lamonaco. and Susan Jiao. All right, congratulations. All right, moving on to Verado Middle School, high max scores, ELA, Lainey Gruntmeyer. Raylene Barnes. Colton Scott. Dominic Aragon. Sally Lashley. Okay, Verado Middle, high max scores, math. Easton Peters. Landon Fanning. Shane Sicca. Brendan Graziani. Felix Swan. And Grayson Ryan. Oh, wait, hold on. We still got more. We got page 2. we got a bundle here. All right, Verado Middle, Marcelo Najea. Kason Postma. Chloe Chang. Carter Casquela. Coleman Johnson. Avery Taylor. Charlotte McGinty. Camila Antunes. Landon Aldrich. Dramon Ornelas. Robert Pananyan. That's it, yes, I did get to it. Congratulations. Go Mustangs. All right, moving on to Western Sky Middle School, max high score in ELA, Chase Hammer. Ava Parker. Ikra Asif. Western Sky Middle School, max high score in math, Matthew Beckett. Michaela Shelley. Vincent Harvey. Hudson Cagle. Elizabeth Nichols. Anthony Meras. Malena Orlando. Lauren Howard. Evan Lopez. And Jennifer Jimenez. That's it. Congratulations, Wildcats. Okay, and moving on to Wigwam Creek Middle School, high max scores in ELA, Rachel Long. Kealohi Runeberg. Alexis Onak. Wigwam Creek, high max scores in math, Nathaniel Randolph. Christopher Surin. Hannah Zelensky. Kealohi Runeborg. Emily Rolls. McKenna Zednik. William Lewis. Avery Allen Chuba. Denzel Hoya Rodriguez. And Eli Shafino. Okay, that's it. Congratulations. Go Jaguars. Okay, I just want one last special round of applause for those that scored high max scores in both ELA and math. L. Thomas Heck, Jasmine Hernandez, Nathaniel Lewis, Litchfield Elementary, Nathaniel Lewis, Litchfield Elementary, Francis Frazier, Palm Valley Elementary, Brooke Gutierrez, Rancho Santa Fe, Lucas Beckstead, Verado Elementary, Molly Farrell, and Wigwam Creek, Kealohi Runeborg. One last round of applause. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you attending tonight and giving us the opportunity to celebrate our students. This is a great accomplishment. Thank you. Have a good evening, and there's a snack on your way out.
Melissa wants a cookie.
And just like that, everybody's gone. Whew. Okay. Is everybody good for us to get started now with all our business now that we are done with all that really amazing celebrating? We're all good? Cool. So I don't think we have any public comment tonight. So we're going to move on to the adoption of the agenda and approval of consent agenda. And I'm going to start with pulling item 6.10 for us to table till a later meeting. But I'll go through and see if anybody else has any items that they wish for us to pull from consent. Ms. Moran, did you have anything you'd like to pull from consent?
I do not, thank you.
Ms. Wallace?
No, thank you.
Mr. Mikes?
None for me.
Mr. Owens?
None for me.
Okay, then if there's nothing to pull, someone would make a motion minus 6.10.
Move to adopt the agenda as presented as to the order of business items and approve the consent agenda without consent item 6.10.
I'll second.
Having a motion from Mr. Mikes and a second from Mr. Owens, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran?
Yay.
Ms. Wallace?
Yay.
Mr. Mikes?
Yay.
Mr. Owens?
Yay.
I'm also a yay. Motion passes. I guess that moves it to item 7.1 now. I just was asked that we table this item to another meeting, so we don't really have to discuss it unless anybody really needs to. Do we need to make a motion to table it? Cool, okay. So I motion to table item 7.1 to a later meeting.
I'll second.
Having a motion from myself and a second from Mr. Mikes, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran?
Can we have some discussion first
Sure.
on this? Sorry, I'm just going to pull this up. Give me just a second here. So I understand, from my understanding of why this is being tabled, there's one person is the reason that we're tabling it, but no one else that's listed here. We don't need to approve this. There's no time constraint on approving the rest of it.
Good evening, and thank you for the question. If that was acceptable to the board, we could. Because of the confidentiality of the personnel matters, I did not want to put us in a situation where we had to specify the name one individual that was removed.
I understand. I just want to make sure that everyone else that's listed on here, that none of that is time sensitive, because we obviously won't be able to approve this until our next meeting, but our next meeting is a study session, so I don't know that we're doing any action, so it would be October. I just want to make sure it's okay to delay this all of these folks till the October meeting.
When I spoke with legal counsel, it would be all right to remove the one, but I didn't want to be in a situation where I had to specify who that one person was.
I understand. We get what you're saying on that. To clarify, what I understand Ms. Moran to be saying is that she wants to make sure that there's not a time-sensitive thing for everyone else minus the one individual, because we will not be able to approve this item now until October 14th.
Can't understand her.
So is that going to be a problem for us to wait until October 14th to approve the rest of the list?
It would be my preference and my request of you all that we be able to move forward with approval of the classified agenda minus the one name. And it is one that's on for job abandonment.
Okay, so you would like us to potentially approve this list minus the name, but we can't say
I
the
can share the name.
I'm not saying we need to
Yeah,
do
no,
that.
we don't need to do that. I'm going to let Dr. Davidson.
President Zaidama, thank you, members of the board, Ms. Moran, for your question. Ms. Satterfield, if your desire is for us to make an additional motion to ask the board to consider adopting that minus the one name, the board could potentially do that. However, we do need a vote now, Madam President, because we do have a motion currently to table that whole item. So
Okay, so then we're going to call for the vote and see if that passes, and if not, then we can do a new motion.
yes, ma'am.
So I will call for your vote, Ms. Moran.
Nay.
Ms. Wallace.
I guess I'm confused. Nay.
Mr. Mikes.
Nay.
Mr. Owens.
Nay. Nay.
I'm also a nay, so motion fails. If somebody else would like to make a different motion, and are we allowed, before we do that, to say the employee's, I mean, we've already kind of said, but the employee's name?
President Zaidama, the answer is yes to that. I know that we were trying to honor that just because it is an
Okay.
employee manner, but it is just a name statement and no other additional information.
Okay, so then I motion to approve this item minus, sorry,
Catherine Quackenbush.
minus Quackenbush as presented.
I will second.
Who was that? Okay. Having a motion from myself and a second from Ms. Moran, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran?
Yay.
Ms. Wallace?
Yay.
Mr. Mikes?
Yay.
Mr. Owens?
Yay.
I'm also a yay. Motion passes. Learn something new every day, everybody. Okay, next we are going to move on to the academic calendars for the 26-27 and 27-28 school years, which seems crazy to me that we're looking at that. But this is going to be presented by Ms. Benjamin.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the Governing Board. We have been working on the academic calendars. We've actually been getting some requests from families who are trying to make plans for next year. We appreciate that they are looking out for days that we will be out of school for those family vacations. We did seek feedback from our academic calendars from both Admin Council as well as our Superintendent's Advisory Committee. And some of the celebrations about the calendars, we're trying to go for 2 years so that we have that consistency, is teachers love the Thursday start date, having students Thursday and Friday before a full week. They appreciated the consistency across the years. This calendar looks very similar to the last 2 years, and then we added continuing on for 2 more years. The breaks and holidays, the Thanksgiving break was very well received. Teachers and staff felt that that was not only helpful for the families because attendance is typically poor on the Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving break, but it also gave the teachers that time. They also appreciated fall break and spring break, winter breaks, of course, and then the spring recess was positively highlighted. They appreciated professional development and pre-service days. We did add an additional pre-service day 2 years ago so that there are 4 days before students return. That was very well received, as well as early release Wednesdays every week. Some of the areas of concern were that we were starting in July, and that is absolutely something we did look at. We tried to look at calendars to see if we didn't do that. We were trying to work with the Agua Fria calendar as well. They have not presented theirs to the board, but I did reach out to Agua Fria, and this does match what they are planning to present so that our families would have fall breaks, spring break, and Christmas breaks aligned. And also, they let me know that end of year looks like it would align as well. So we were trying to really honor that. We could move back into the August, but we would not be able to keep the Thursday start. Otherwise, our fall breaks and spring breaks would need to adjust because of the certain amount of weeks we need to be in school for grading. So that was a concern from teachers. We did bring it up to Superintendent Advisory Council today and discussed it. And overall, it seemed that they still liked the Thursday start and were okay with the very end of July rather than going to the Monday. But that is something that was of concern to our teachers and staff. The other one was there was questions around the April April recess, that they were hoping it would fall on Easter. It doesn't always happen. Easter changes, so this year it's early March. We're still considering it a spring recess after testing, so we're keeping it in April. If we can make it fall on that weekend, we will, but it doesn't always work that way. I stand for any questions that you might have around the calendars. I wanted to bring up all of the good and the bad with them, and I wanted to bring up both calendars for both years. So we're hoping that you will approve both the 26-27 and the 27-28 calendar.
Ms. Moran, do you have any questions or comments?
I have comments and then I have a question. So my comment is related to the July start date, which still does not really sit right with me, but I do understand, since I've been doing this long enough, that we do end up being dictated by other things that are beyond our control, and sometimes just the way that things fall. So I know in this calendar in particular, Memorial Day is going to be a full week after we get out of school, but that's because Memorial Day is on the 31st. If we shifted all of that this year, we'd have to shift it all back, potentially next year or the year after, depending on how that falls. So I agree that the Thursday start date seems to work well based on the feedback that we've received. My question is about the feedback. So I understand that this calendar is very similar to what has been presented and approved and used for the last 2 years, but I'm just curious about what groups we got feedback from and when that feedback was taken into consideration in regards to the calendar.
So we brought this to Admin Council 3 weeks ago and received feedback from them. And then we also sent it in an email to our Superintendent's Advisory Council in a Google form to provide feedback for us with celebrations, barriers, and concerns. And so we've been collecting that. And that was ongoing. We had some additional today, and I added that additional information this evening for you as well.
Okay, I know that it's impossible to get feedback from everyone, and of course impossible to make everyone happy. However, is there a point in time that you would anticipate soliciting parent feedback on the calendar now that we are potentially going to approve 4 years that look very similar? Is it kind of a if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality, or do we think at some point we should proactively ask for more feedback?
It's a great question, and we did talk about that. One of the difficult things is there's a lot of laws around calendars. 180 days is something we are trying to keep as a district. We could absolutely go out for parent feedback. It's just needing to be able to explain and understand how that all works, how the instructional time model works, the calendar days. Those can be difficult, and a lot of times there's personal pieces in there. For example, we have a lot of people asking about 4-day school weeks, and that's not something that we feel comfortable with. We've looked at the research. It doesn't show that the school districts that are at 4 days have shown really any stellar scores, and so that's something that we're just not ready to go to yet. Someday we may have to, but at this point we're not wanting to do that. So we were not opening it up to everybody, but we could absolutely.
Okay, just wanting to know what the thought process was and the consideration.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Wallace?
I had some similar concerns or questions, but I am one that hates starting in July.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the 2 days before a full week, that Thursday, Friday. I just wish that Thursday, Friday could be the first week in August. I feel like we just keep moving further and further into the super hot time when the kids can't get outside and are coming back from a summer break and having all this freedom to burn energy and then stuck inside for 5, 6, 7 weeks, depending on the weather. I understand the reasoning with testing schedules and wanting that week on the front end of testing, but I wish we could go a week longer in May and end before that Memorial Day holiday, personally.
We could. It would impact our schedule, and it would not align to Agua Fria's. So if we kept the Thursday start date and we chose to do that, then we would just not be aligned. That is something that we could absolutely do.
I mean, I know that parents are going to want to be aligned with the high school. That's an
Yeah.
absolute, but
The other option is not doing a Thursday start, and we could start on the Monday. We would still be aligned with Agua Fria, we just wouldn't have the Thursday start.
then we would go the 2 days before Thanksgiving,
We,
or would we go 2 days into
we'd have to
further
go
in
2
May?
days at the end, or we'd have to find those 2 days somewhere, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I love the 2 days starting. I think that's great for teachers. I think it's great for the kids to ease them in. It's just so hot and
It is.
and so early in the year, but those are my only things. And then I was looking at the spring holiday. I did think that the intention of that was for Good Friday because so many students missed that Friday for religious reasons. So that was my other question that you answered, but
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Mr. Mikes?
I don't have any other questions of what they asked before. The only thing I saw and this was late, and I was noticing that we have 179 instructional days on the 27-28 calendar. It says instructional, and 180. I was looking at where I came to it. I'm looking at the quarter breakdown.
Okay, so
And I was-
maybe our math is off there. We counted day by day, so it is 180, but I can double check that.
I just didn't know if it was typed out wrong, and I even went through
That
and
is
tried
possible.
to count the months, but because I'm seeing that we end the same, May. So we end May 19 for that.
Yes.
And then that's a Friday, and we end a Friday on May. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm wondering if that's why the day got mixed up. So anyways, we might want to double check. I went through and counted the days, and I came up with 179 on the calendar.
We will
but
triple
anyways,
check. I had my office manager double check it for me and
Okay.
had lots of other people, but that does not mean that we counted correctly.
right.
So,
So
we
that was
will-
the only thing I
Yes,
wanted to
we
bring
can
up. The
double check
the
that.
quarters just don't add up. That's all. So everything
Okay.
else, I appreciate the shifting, and yeah, the late, starting so early, but at some point, you got to. I like the alignment with the assessments, the alignment with the. With the high schools, and making sure the kids are set up for the the best success with their academics. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Owens?
Yeah, you're never going to appease everybody with this, right? Some people want to start, like I tell my friends that live in the Midwest or back east, are like, we don't start till after Labor Day. And you're like, okay, well, we get out in May and you're going in the middle of June. So it's front or back. I like the breaks broken up. I'm hoping that, with this advance notice, families can start planning their vacations, because obviously with chronic absenteeism, we want to reduce people taking their kids out of school and plan around the holidays. So I don't really have a problem with the start time. Other than that, no, looks good. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I'm very happy that we're getting 2 years out again, because I think this is a great thing for families to plan. I agree with Mr. Owens in that this should, not necessarily that it will, but hopefully it should help with planning for any big major vacations you're planning. So thank you guys for putting together 2 calendars and getting this out there as soon as possible for our families. If anyone would like to make a motion.
Can I make just like a
Yes,
point
you
real
can.
quick? Before making a motion, pending board member Mike's observation that it only says 179 days, I would, if anything, amend the motion to approve the 2006-2007 schedule and not 2007-8.
I'm going to tell you, I went through and added it up, and they're the same days. They're the same number of days.
You said you have 180?
I went through, and it was, 180 for both.
Where did you teach again? Okay, so if they're right, are we at 180 for both?
I believe we
Mr.
are.
Owens, I would have to do a little bit of double checking as well, but I was just going to say, if your motion is to just approve the 1 year and we can bring back year 2 after verification, that's acceptable for us as well. So however you guys want to do that.
Just because it is an action item and not just a discussion item.
That's whatever you guys want to do. So whatever motion you guys want to make, that's what we'll vote on.
The third option is that you could make a motion to make sure that that has 180 days. And then we can still bring it back on consent agenda.
So I'll move to approve the 26-27 academic calendar as presented, and the 2027-2028 academic calendar pending confirmation of 180 days. I don't know if that's possible.
I will second.
Okay, having a motion from Mr. Owens and a second from Ms. Moran. I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran?
Yay.
Ms. Wallace?
Yay.
Mr. Mikes?
Yay.
Mr. Owens?
Yay.
I'm also a yay. Motion passes. This is the most learning meeting we're ever having. I love it. Okay, with that done, yay. I'm feeling very excited to have 2 calendars pretty much done. We are going to move on now to the summary report of student success outcomes for last school year. This is the meat of our meeting tonight. I'm very excited to hear from all our presenters we have, but we're going to start with Dr. Doozy, and she can introduce the rest of the lovely people that are going to share information with us.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, governing board members, my admin cabinet, and all of the community that may be watching or watching later. We are here as a team to present tonight our summary report of student achievement, specifically to share with you our 2024-2025 outcomes. So with me tonight presenting our various achievement data, I have Brian Owen, and I'll go ahead and invite them to come up and join me now. Brian Owen, our Director of Assessment and Accountability. Jennifer Larson, our Director of English Language Development. Katie Wood, our Director of Teaching and Learning. Allison Paterno, our District Literacy Coach. Carrie Farnsworth, our District Math Coach. And then, of course, myself. So tonight, the purpose of why we're here with you as a team is that we want to provide the board and the community an update on student success. As you all know, our vision is student success, and our mission is to prepare our Litchfield learners through readiness, resources, and relationships. We know that there's a lot of information in this presentation. We will not be going through each and every slide, but these slides are available to you and the community so they can look at our data. We're really going to focus on our key takeaways as well as our next action steps. We really want to make sure that we present data to you. This data was collected as a year outcome for our students. We look at data in various ways to analyze our effectiveness and to make decisions on how to get better and to celebrate things that went really well. And so we really want the community and you as a board to know what the outcomes of all these different data points are so that you can also join us in celebrating and also identifying ways that we can get better. And as I shared, our mission is preparing our Litchfield learners through readiness, resources, and relationships. So definitely, this is the heart of the work and the purpose of why we're all here. So I'll turn things over to Mr. Owen, our Director of Assessment and Achievement, Accountability and Achievement. So it is down, and you have to wait a second. There's a little delay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Doozy. Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, what I'd like to do is just share. So this hasn't been made public yet. We don't have a district or a statewide data file. So what we'll do is share what we have for our results from the district. This is spring 2025, AASA math, ELA data, and AZ Sci data. So we look at the state trend and our district trend. The district trend really follows the patterns of the state trend. We can see increases and decreases that are higher or lower than the state. Here's a quick state comparison. One note I want to make about this slide is that the gap between Litchfield's proficiency and the statewide proficiency by grade did decrease from the previous year by about a percentage point down to just over 9 percentage point difference. Here's a quick look at AZ Sci proficiency, and what we can see, a couple of significant decreases, yet a couple of significant increases. And I want to go over our beginning of the year data. We just wrapped up fall benchmark testing. We tested in math, reading, and science. And what I like to do is compare fall this year to fall in previous years. Here's a quick district look at the last 3 years of fall data for math and reading, last 2 years of fall data for science. Those are all comparable data points. And really what we see at a district level is high stability. We see slight increases or decreases at a district level, but that data is really more useful down at the school level, so that schools can see which grade levels this year are coming in higher or lower than grade levels did in the past 2 years. And that, of course, can alert schools right at the beginning of the year which grade levels are going to need more or less support this year. Then what we wanted to do, this may seem a little bit early in the school year, but we want to just get the state accountability model in front of you, because I anticipate in November we'll come back with actual 2025 state accountability data. So what I'd like to do is give a quick general overview of the components, and then just a quick flashback to what we saw last year in the schools and district. And this is just to get ready for the November presentation with current data. So real quick, they define these letter grades: A, B, C, distinguished performance, high performance, adequate performance, as you go down the letter grades. Quick look at the model components. So this says 2024. These are 2024 components, business rules, and cut points. And the reason that I'm using 2024 is because the state board has not officially approved the 2025 business rules or letter grade cut points. But the accountability committee met yesterday, and the discussions there were, they will not recommend changes this year. So I'm under the assumption that we will see the same business rules and cut points this year. We'll look at the largest one. 50% of the formula is growth. One thing I point out on this slide is that the lower scoring students that show higher growth are higher weighted. And I always emphasize that with the schools. Proficiency, that's 30% or 30 points. The important detail on this slide that I emphasize is that for this calculation only, for this accountability determination, partially proficient students do count as proficient at a 0.6 rate. So what that means is 10 partially proficient students will count as 6 proficient students in the numerator. And then on the other side, the highly proficient students are weighted more than 1.0 at 1.3. So 10 highly proficient students will count as 13 in the numerator. We can see greater accountability proficiency percentages greater than 100% just because of those weightings. EL is 10 points. The important thing about this component is that this is based on the Azella test. This is not AASA test. Two pieces of this: growth and proficiency. And what I emphasize to schools when I present is that every proficient student counts in both categories. They move it up a proficiency level and they scored proficient. This component is the final 10 points of the 100 points. This is just several different indicators. The main ones here: subgroup performance is up to a maximum of 6 points out of the 10. And then grade 3 ELA decrease can see an additional 5 points, and those schools that have grade 8 can see up to an additional 5 points for increases in percent highly proficient and decreases in percent minimally proficient. Then for 2 points too, which is a focus, is chronic absenteeism, and a decrease there. Whoop, that's my fault. We're gonna fix that. I accidentally had a duplicate slide in there. And then there are bonus points up to 5 points for science proficiency and for high incidence special ed populations. Quick overview of what we saw last year in the district: 7 A-rated schools, 6 B schools, 2 C schools. And then we also calculate district level letter grades. And basically it's a straight GPA calculation. This is what we saw last year. The district GPA was 3.33, which was just below the A cut point of 3.5. And we do have preliminary data. I will just say here, when we come back with the actual data, that's public and final, the district GPA will be, if everything stays the same, higher than last year. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Ms. Allison Paterno.
Can we ask questions or
Sure. Oh, yes, please
before
do.
we move on?
Please do. I'm just on a roll.
Is that okay, Madam President?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Do you want me to start?
Yes, go
Okay.
ahead if you have questions on this first section.
Okay, so I don't want to move on yet because I want to celebrate some things first, and I feel like we should maybe take this presentation in chunks. So can we revisit slide number 8, which is the 2025 AASA state comparison slide?
Yes. Me.
Okay, so I would like us to look at this because I believe this has been very consistent over the years, that our district has outperformed the state in every category across the board historically. And I think that is something that we should acknowledge and celebrate. And so I want to say thank you to our teachers and staff for helping us to be better than the state average, which is something to be said. Now, I do realize that this does not directly translate to our letter grades, and that our letter grades, which is the second part of your, or the third part really, of your presentation, your portion of the presentation, is what a lot of our parents focus on. So I guess I would like to make sure that we are communicating multiple data pieces to our parents. I know that they're generally most concerned with their own child's performance, which is of course going to be their highest priority. But I think when we promote ourselves and how well we're doing, I think sometimes some of these data points can get lost in the shuffle there. So I just want to make sure that we are doing our best to provide the facts and make sure that people do know that when it comes to the Litchfield district and the state's, one of the state's gauges that they are using, that we consistently have outshone the average in the state. And I do appreciate the proactive nature of talking about the letter grades. I know that those are not final yet, so I do look forward to that presentation when those are finalized, and we'll obviously talk about that more at that point in time. That's all. Thank you.
That's a good point. Thank you, Member Moran.
Ms. Wallace, did you have any questions or comments up to this point?
I do not, but I'm loving how it looks so far.
Mr. Mikes?
None for me.
Mr. Owens?
None for me, thanks.
I'm gonna let you guys keep going.
Good evening. I'd like to briefly share our reading assessment results, starting with our Acadians data for elementary students. Acadians is our Move On When Reading Universal Screener, which helps us identify students at risk for reading difficulties. Acadians measures basic early literacy skills from kinder through 5th grade, and it grows in complexity as kids progress through the grade levels. I'm pleased to report positive trends in our year-over-year Acadians data. All grades except kindergarten showed growth in the percentage of students at or above benchmark when comparing May 2025 to May 2024. Our largest end-of-year growth is seen in 1st grade with a 4 percentage point increase. This data indicates that we are steadily increasing reading proficiency across our elementary schools, and importantly, that students are retaining and applying basic early literacy skills. Moving to our middle school reading assessment, our iReady reading diagnostic adjusts questions based on student responses, and upon completion, it generates an individual learning path for our 6th through 8th grade students. We see significant growth in the percentage of students at or above grade level, and a significant decrease in the percentage of students 2 or more grade levels below. Here's that same data broken down by grade level. And this chart shows that students across all placement levels are showing growth relative to national norms. So to summarize ELA before turning it over to math, both our elementary Acadians results and our middle school iReading reading data indicate positive movement. We're seeing consistent year-over-year improvement in elementary Acadians reading composite scores, strong retention and application of foundational reading skills, positive movement of middle school students toward grade level proficiency, effective support for our most struggling readers in all grade levels. We believe these results validate our continued focus on evidence-based literacy instruction in Tier 1 and also targeted interventions across the grade levels. Oh, sure. Apologies. Any questions that I could answer for you?
Ms. Moran?
Yeah, I do have a general question. So can you just explain, I think I have an understanding, but I want to make sure it's clear for me and definitely clear for parents out there. Can you explain to me the differences between the benchmark testing, the Acadians testing, and the iReady testing?
Sure. So Acadians is measuring the basic reading skills. So it's doing things like letter naming, phonemic awareness, oral reading fluency, looking at accuracy, and then measuring some retail and vocabulary. So it's very focused on the early literacy skills, whereas our district benchmark focuses much more on the comprehension skills. So they'll be asked to read complex text and answer some questions about that complex text. The iReady does a little bit of both. So in middle grades, that's where we're going to see them screening for any difficulties in phonemic awareness and phonics, but really honing in on vocabulary comprehension at those higher grade levels.
So overall, when we look at each of those different tests, do we think that that's giving us an accurate picture of where our students are?
Yeah, so Acadians is designed to be very predictive. So they've done all sorts of research to make sure that those cut scores are based on alignments to national proficiency levels. So that's very predictive. And then I know Brian's done a lot of work on ensuring that our benchmark data is also predictive. So I would say that when we take those data points and kind of triangulate them to look at how each student is doing, I would say that that's very predictive of how students are doing. And I'm looking forward to now having common summative assessment data as well to help us give even more data about where our students are.
Okay. Because I'm trying to connect the dots to, and I know that the growth is only part of our letter grades, but again, I know parents are really focused on the letter grades, and I know that's only part of what we look at, that's only part of the picture. But I am just trying to put all those things together. So I appreciate that explanation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no questions, thank you.
Mr. Mikes?
None for me, thank you.
Mr. Owens? No questions.
And I just wanted to add another comment to Board Member Moran's question. Is the rationale of why we use all these different measures is because we are trying to predict and monitor progress toward what the state will inevitably look at that make up our letter grade. So looking at how students are growing, look at their proficiency, as well as what are the skills that are missing so that we can help them fill those gaps to get them to higher proficiency and higher growth. So all these assessments together outside of ASA are meant as progress monitoring to help us address and intervene and provide higher quality Tier 1 as well as Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction.
Can I ask another follow-up question? Do you think, and this it might just be your opinion, but do you think that there is a point that we would be doing too many assessments?
That is a great question. I think that we always have to find balance in how we're assessing students, but at the end of the day, we must always make sure that we're checking for understanding, and that's just another word for assessment. So yes, these tools are norm referenced and looked across the board as far as predictive qualities and how accurate they are. But we need those measures to be able to individually see where a student is on their trajectory and their learning path. So it is a constant balance. But when you think about assessment, we really should be assessing our kids every day because that's a checking for understanding.
Oh, that feels like a lot. I mean, I wouldn't want to be assessed every day, but I'm not in school anymore. So,
well, every day we should be asking, what do we want the kids to learn today? How do we know they learned it? And that is an assessment. Yeah. Even if it's a 5-question assessment, it's an assessment.
Okay, so, that's fair. Thank you.
All right, so I'll turn things over to Mrs. Farnsworth.
Another item I think is important to note for English language arts is that the standards have several different components. So they have reading informational text, reading literature, speaking and listening, writing, and so these assessments get at different parts of the English language arts because the standards are broken into those different areas. Acadians is really primarily focusing on the foundational skills, whereas our benchmark would be focusing on the reading informational text and reading literature. So the assessment system is balanced to meet the needs of our standards. Does that make sense?
All right, good evening, everybody. So I am here to talk about the iReady Math Diagnostic. And there we go. All right, so our iReady Math data for the 2024-25 school year shows positive trends in student performance and growth. You'll see across all grade levels that we saw the number of students performing at or above grade level increased, while the number of students that were at 2 or more grade levels below decreased. We are also pleased to report that the median growth, that our goal was that our median growth was 100%, and we exceeded that in all grade levels except 6th grade. We also were well above that 50th percentile, which is that national normed reference. When we look at this next graph, we're also looking at the baseline placement levels, which is important for us when we're looking at next steps. So we're looking at how we are reaching our students that are above grade level, on grade level, and below grade level. So that helps us when we are looking at planning. So our key observations were that our district's overall end of the year placement remained very consistent with the May 2024 end of year data, which was very consistent to Brian's data. Do you have any questions about the math iReady diagnostic?
Ms. Moran?
I do not have any specific questions about the math. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Wallace?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Mikes?
None for me, thanks.
Mr. Owens? No, thank you for the information.
So we're going to do a little instructional adjustment, and we're going to actually bring Mrs. Larson up next. So I'm going to go just a few slides here because it makes sense for you to hear from her next.
All right, Madam President, Governing Board members, thank you so much for allowing me to present our Azella data from last year. So the Azella, Brian touched on it earlier, is that 10 EL points for our letter grade. And so Azella is Arizona's English Language Proficiency Assessment. It's administered to students who have other than English home language surveys at the time of enrollment. So students that may have other languages present in their home or may speak other languages. The proficiency measures is presented in overall proficiency level, but then at domain level proficiency, so looking at listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And it is determined for placement, reclassification, and instructional supports for our multilingual learners in Litchfield. So again, it's presented as an overall proficiency, and so we'll look at proficiency level, and then we'll look at some domain proficiency levels as well. In order for students to receive an overall level of proficient, they must receive a total score of 1,000 and intermediate or proficient in all of the domain levels. So looking at our proficiency trend, you can see across 3 years, it's the same data, but you can see that we consistently outscore the state. Again, this is not announced yet, but it's what we have, and you'll see more in our A through F letter grade, but you can see that we have, again, consistently outscored the state over the last 3 years in proficiency. So that's the number of students who scored proficient or reclassified from ELD services. Looking at Azella growth, so this is students that grew 1 or more proficiency levels on the Azella. You can see again that we have consistently outscored the state with our students' growth percentage as well on the Azella. This is just a quick distribution of grade levels that scored proficient. You can see our highest numbers were in kindergarten and first grade, which is good news because that's where the highest number of our English learners are. We want to make sure that we are giving them that foundational English language development in early grades so that they can be successful. As you can see, the lowest grades are middle school, but that's also good news because that is where we have our lowest number of multilingual learner students because we do our jobs well by catching them early on when they're with us. Looking at some domain proficiency, again, we can look at overall proficiency, but we do a lot of data dives to look at the individual needs of students for instruction. So you can look here, this was the listening domain proficiency, so just a little over 30% of our students scored proficient. Something to keep in mind, I'm going to switch here for the 2-year. We had a greater number of pre-emergent emergent students, so newcomers or beginning English learners, last school year than ever before. So some of this data, you'll see that our pre-emergent emergent basic is up, but that's because we had a larger percentage of pre-emergent emergent students. So listening is, again, the number of proficient is slightly higher than last year, so on that upward trend. Our writing proficiency, this is probably the domain that I'm most proud of. Writing is usually one of the last language skills to come just because it's so cognitively complex and all of the things that go into writing. But when you look at our 2-year comparison, how many more students this year scored proficient in that subdomain of writing? That was a goal that our team worked on last year. This was overall reading proficiency. And then the 2-year, so stable data there. Speaking, we can see we had almost 43% of our students score proficient in the speaking domain, and our data for speaking, which always looks really good. It's usually one of the higher proficiencies. So just some key observations, a celebration, over 120 of our students, nearly 22% scored proficient on the AZELA or ALT-ELBA, which is our alternative AZELA assessment. Over 50% of our students grew 1 or more proficiency levels. Again, that significant increase in that writing domain, and our growth and proficiency percentages are really stable, slightly increased in proficiency from last year, but again, well above that state average. Looking at some action steps, we're just going to continue to look at data as a team. As a matter of fact, we have a data dive tomorrow. We are going to continuously implement that high quality targeted ELD within our pullout groups. We will partner with our integrated ELD teachers to co-plan to make sure that scaffolds are happening all day in the classroom so that students have access to grade level content. We are going to partner with our families to engage them as active participants in our school community with our cafecitos and our family literacy night that we have each year. And so, and as a team to address some of that reading, we are really taking a dive looking at reading foundational skills to move that needle so that our students can lift those words off the page by supporting their phonemic awareness, phonics fluency. And a big majority of our team has undergone letters training so that we can specifically address that with our students. So that is all the data that I have for you. Do you have any questions?
Ms. Moran, did you have questions on this section?
No questions, but I just continue to be impressed by our English language learners and the department. You do great work, and once again, another area that we consistently outperform the state average. So I would say keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Ms. Wallace?
Ditto what she said, and thank you for all your hard work, and also looks great.
Mr. Mikes?
No questions for me, thank you.
Mr. Owens?
Thank you. No questions.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions either. Thank you.
All right, and Mrs. Larson started us off with our continuous improvement process by sharing what her ELD coordinators are doing as action steps. Before we jump into our other action steps from my team back here, I did want to point out just one thing, just to kind of bring all this full circle of why this data is so important. So if you can just be patient with me, I'm going to find the slide that I want to focus us on for a moment. So as Brian had shared, he shared this graphic right here, and I just wanted to point out, we anticipate that the State Board of Ed is going to keep the same components. And so as we've shared this evening, we've demonstrated how we're tracking literacy, how we're tracking our English language learners, how we're tracking individual student growth from being at grade level, above level in reading and math. And if you notice this chart here, if you get full points for both growth and proficiency, the cutoff is 80 points. So you will not reach an A rating without your EL effectiveness and your acceleration and readiness, which is your 8th grade math being highly proficient, or decreasing the amount of students being minimally proficient, and we'll talk about that more in November, and also our 3rd graders being proficient on the reading test. So I just wanted to point that out. That is another reason why all of this data and together is so important, because really to reach the highest effectiveness from the state, it's not just about growth and proficiency, it's about all these data points together. So now, if you're patient with me, I'll find where we were at.
Madam President, can I just make one more comment as well to go along with Dr. Duzzi's conversation here? Ms. Moran, you asked a question around the intensity and the amount of assessment we give, and I think our team here is demonstrating that there's a variety of ways that we assess our kids and how we determine whether or not they're excelling in our classrooms. I think where we're headed next is, which I just wanted to highlight, is that it's not about just gathering that data on how our students are performing, it's about what our staff is then doing with it to make improvements and to help support each and every child that we serve. So I just wanted to just throw that out there, that it's a big giant circle. We collect, we do, and then we collect some more, and then we keep doing. So,
which is a great transition for our slide. Thank you, Dr. Davidson. So definitely the cycle of continuous improvement, it definitely is a circle. What we do with the data is what's most important. So we're going to talk to you about moving action and add on to the great work that Mrs. Larson already shared. So I will invite, I'll start out here. This is actually, it has to do with the scorecard work. Each site leader, department, and educational and operation will use multiple data sources for their respective department. In this case, we're specifically talking about our educational leaders. We'll use this data to identify with their guiding coalitions or with the district guiding coalition our specific scorecard goals. And part of those scorecard goals will also be monthly check-ins during admin council, as well as a pre with your supervisor, a mid, and a post to talk about those goals. And in that mid-year evaluation, there is a reflection process so that we can monitor and adjust as we see the impact of our action on the results that we're looking for.
Okay, can I ask a follow-up question before you move on? Okay, so I really want to break this down, because one of the things that I would like for anyone who's interested in getting out of this presentation is to understand what we're doing with this data, and I know that is your goal as well. So can you explain what a guiding coalition is?
Sure. So a guiding coalition, think about it this way. You set out a purpose, which is student success, to raise student achievement. Your guiding coalition is a group of people that represent diverse perspectives on your campus. So there'll be different grade levels, there'll be different specialists, there'll be different stakeholders that are part of the staff are typically on the guiding coalition. That guiding coalition comes together and meets periodically to say, okay, they establish the goals. They establish, hey, these are the action steps that we're going to take that we believe are the highest leverage that are going to get us to that final goal. And then they come up with a way to monitor it. How are we going to make sure that we're doing those action steps and that we're getting what we wanted out of them? That guiding coalition keeps coming back in that cycle to say, okay, where are we at? What are our action steps? What do our key performance indicators tell us? That's what we're using to monitor those action steps, so that when we get to the end of the year, it's not a surprise, right? How far off we are with that goal, using all these different data points or examples of data that principals and their guiding coalitions will use. So guiding coalition is just a group of people that collaborate, that guide the work to ensure that the goals stay at the top of the mind of the school, and that they monitor the action steps to make sure that it's moving them in the right direction.
Okay, and I know this is a relatively new concept to our district. Do the members of the Guiding Coalition change every year?
They could, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so they could, but they don't necessarily. Okay, I think that was a good explanation. Thank you.
Okay. And then I'm going to invite Mr. Owen up to talk about Illuminate.
So what I've been doing now at the beginning of the year, we have summative data from last year that schools can look at. We now have a beginning of the year data point that schools can look at, and we have preliminary accountability data that schools can look at. So what I've been doing is looking at those things with the school level teams, either whole staff, which I've done a couple of times, or with their leadership teams, to look closely at where students are starting now. There's, for example, a couple of schools have low cohorts. So we knew they were low last year, and now going into next year, we see with our beginning of the year data, they're low in the next grade. So that's a trigger to say, we're going to need to get into that grade level and support that grade level, because we know coming into the school year that that's a low grade level. And I go through accountability data, and then what I have in Illuminate are just reports. I have custom reports, they're pre-built reports, to show them, to track these things, what data can you use and what reports can you pull to look at things like grade 3 minimally proficient in reading, grade 8 math highly proficient and minimally proficient. Those are the big ones. Any questions?
Ms. Moran.
Yes. Could you give a 1-minute summary of what Illuminate is?
Oh, I'm sorry. So Illuminate is just an assessment system and item bank system that the district adopted. This is now the 4th year with it. It replaced our old system. And so what this has is a very robust item bank that teachers have access to, so they can go in, search by standard, and create their own assessments. And then it's also our district assessment tool, where we build our district assessments and students take the assessments in Illuminate, and then the data reporting is also done in Illuminate.
Okay, so benchmarks are taken with Illuminate.
Yes, so this is our district benchmarks, yep, in
Okay.
math, reading, and science, thank you.
And this is just another tool that the teachers can use for their assessments.
Yep, assessments and also for data.
Okay, perfect.
Ms. Wallace.
No questions.
Mr. Mikes.
None.
Mr. Owens.
None for me, thanks.
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity to share some targeted action steps for ELA instruction across our district. Let's start with elementary. Our elementary action plan is going to focus on strengthening foundational reading skills while also building comprehension capacities. We're enhancing our core instruction in both foundational skills and comprehension by using our teacher committee created slide decks for our core program. We're pairing that with evidence-based instructional routines. This is ensuring consistency across our elementary schools while also maintaining high-quality, research-backed practices. We're also significantly increasing opportunities for daily reading practice using fluency building protocols. We've noticed that students were needing more consistent practice to build reading fluency, automaticity, stamina, and so this action item is to support with that. Our teachers in all grade levels are using sorting grids to differentiate instruction based on multiple data points, which includes universal screening data, diagnostic assessments, and soon common summative assessments. This is to ensure that every student receives instruction that's targeted to their specific needs. We're implementing curriculum that's been vetted using ESSA criteria at all tiers of instruction. So that ensures that they're receiving high quality evidence-based materials, whether they're in Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3. And lastly, we're continuing to invest in our teachers through the K-5 literacy endorsement coursework that's focused on the science of reading. This year, our training concentrates on dyslexia awareness and evidence-based strategies for supporting students with reading difficulties. We're also offering many other professional development opportunities. One that we're excited about is core ELA lesson demonstrations, in which teachers have the opportunity to go see live lessons that are led by our veteran teachers. This is always the professional development that's most requested by teachers, and it gives them the opportunity to witness best practices in implementing the science of reading, effective teaching strategies, and student engagement. So we're very grateful for our veteran teachers who are opening their classrooms for us to come learn from them. We're also happy to report that we now have 2 in-district educators who are certified to lead Volume 1 of the LETRS training that Jen Larson mentioned earlier. So that way we're able to continue to offer that professional development series to our teachers. We anticipate that we'll have an additional 20 teachers that are participating starting in our cohort 3 next month. In middle school, it's going to focus on building the sophisticated literacy skills and critical thinking capacities that students are going to need for high school. So we're going to continue enhancing our core instruction with a specific focus on vocabulary development, building world knowledge, and teaching students to to talk and write about complex text. We're emphasizing purposeful reading with annotation strategies that will serve students throughout their academic careers. We're continuing to build a middle school ELA framework for database decision-making at all tiers of instruction. We've also launched a new middle school ELA leadership cohort that's focusing on a deep understanding of ELA resources and strategies. These teacher leaders are building shared capacity to analyze and act on data, facilitate professional learning communities, and mentor and train their colleagues. We're hoping that this will create a sustainable model for ongoing improvement. And finally, we're providing disciplinary literacy professional development to help teachers across all subject areas support reading, writing, and communication skills. This recognizes that literacy development is not just the responsibility of the ELA teachers, but instead it requires a coordinated effort across all content areas. Similarly to elementary, we'll be offering live lesson demonstrations for 6th through 8th grade teachers to model best practices in middle school ELA instruction. And again, we're thankful to our veteran teachers for opening their classrooms for that purpose. So in summary, these action steps are designed to build teacher capacity through professional learning opportunities and leadership cohorts, to ensure consistency with our district materials and frameworks, to target individual student needs through data-driven differentiation, and to create sustainability by developing teacher leaders and systemic approaches. We believe that these action steps address all aspects of K-8 literacy and will prepare our students for success in high school and beyond. They represent our commitment to evidence-based instruction, continuous improvement, and ensuring that every student becomes a proficient reader and writer. Do you have any questions about these action steps?
Ms. Moran?
Okay, I love all the information. It is fantastic. However, if you could just read that last part again, that said it in like parent language about what all of this looks like from a district level, I would appreciate that because I would like to digest that a little better myself.
So repeat the last sentence I said.
Where you said like in summary, this is, the systemic changes in that part.
Yeah, so basically we're building teacher capacity, we're ensuring consistency across our district, we're targeting individual student needs through differentiation, and we're creating sustainability, really through those leadership cohorts and just the systematic approaches that we're taking.
Okay, I would love to see something simplified like that communicated to parents so that they can see, maybe when the letter grades come out or something, however we want to communicate that, so that maybe they can easier tie in the fact that we are collecting this data and then these are the things that we're doing about it to show that continuous improvement. Because while I appreciate the action steps that all of you understand what they mean and that you can apply and all the teachers can apply in their classrooms, I don't think it's as easily translatable to parents as that excellent summary that you just provided.
That's a great idea, thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Wallace?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Mikes?
None for me, thank you.
Mr. Owens?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I love action steps, right? We have the data. This is going to give us an understanding of where our students at. And so now what are we going to do with it? Because that's the goal, is to use the data. And I liked how it was mentioned, this is really to pinpoint each student's development and understanding of the subject matter. So how can we use this at the student level and not just look this big picture? Okay, 3rd grade's fine. No, it's where do we find the students that really need it the most? And so love action steps. Thank you for all your work.
I don't have any questions, but I do love the idea of our teachers getting to learn from veteran teachers. So I am glad that we are making that opportunity available for them to learn from each other, because that's how they're going to do better, right? So thank you.
Thank you. All right. When we talk about math action steps, we look at our math data, and really the diagnostic data does two things. One, it feeds into their MyPath and gives those lessons to fill gaps. So that's the first part. The second part is it tells teachers what prerequisite skills students are missing so that they can help fill those gaps and students can access that grade level content when they're teaching it. So really that's what we're using that diagnostic data for. When we talk about math action steps, we're really doing two things this year. We are working on some professional development for both teachers, coaches, and principals. We have representatives from all schools going to Graham Fletcher's Power of Progressions that the Westside Impact Partnership is holding. We also have coaches and principals going to an ADE training on deepening math standards implementation. And then as math specialists and coaches, we're really working on strengthening resources and support in three key components of our instructional framework. So the first one is spiral review. So we know that we're lacking some resources for spiral review, so we're working on compiling some resources that that is aligned to the pacing that we have with iReady. So we're looking at creating some resources for that. We are looking at expanding our resources and our training for teachers on number sense routines and to increase that student discourse and mental math strategies. And then the last one is we're building some teacher capacity and resources in the area of fluency. So those are the three areas we're looking to strengthen this year. Any questions about our math action steps?
Ms. Moran?
It seems, to summarize, on the math side, that really building the teacher capacity is where we're focusing.
Yeah.
How do the teachers feel about that?
So we had some math content training at the Lift PD that was received very well. We got positive feedback on that. I think the teachers are excited. We have a lot of departmentalized teachers going to the Graham Fletcher training. I think they're very excited about going to like an outside training. I think they haven't been able to do that a lot. So we've received positive feedback.
Tell me more about the Graham Fletcher training. I'm not familiar with that.
So Graham Fletcher is a guru when it comes to math, and Westside Impact is paying to bring him in for 3 days. And so we were able to secure 17 spots. And so we have 17 teachers going, mostly teachers, a few coaches, and they get 3 days with Graham Fletcher. And he does a lot of work with number sense, the progressions in math, building that conceptual understanding for teachers so they really understand the math that they are teaching at that deep level.
And then those representatives will come back and do some sort of PD with the rest of
That is the
staff.
idea,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Excellent. I just wondered, if teachers welcomed the support that this seems to be offering.
So far, we've heard positive things.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Ms. Wallace?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Mikes?
None for me, thanks.
Mr. Owens?
No questions, thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
So as we looked at the several data points that we have, we worked with our instructional coaches and our principals to talk about where are we now, what's our current reality, and where do we want to be by the end of this school year. And then we talked about what's going to bridge that gap for us as a district. So a couple things we're focusing on. You've heard mention of the LIFT, that's the Litchfield Instructional Framework for Teaching. And so that's kind of a cycle that we're using to provide professional development for teachers, to have walkthroughs in classrooms where we're looking for consistent things. And then also how we're analyzing our data and bringing that back to teachers as part of our coaching cycle. And then we also want to make sure that all of our students across the district have access to complex text that's at their grade level and complex problems that are at their grade level in their curriculum, in their instruction, and in the assessments. So one of the things that we are going to be looking at this year is common summative assessments. So the benchmarks and the diagnostics they've talked about kind of give that high leverage overview. The common summative assessments are really the in the weeds, very specific data. So the teacher just taught something for a few weeks, we're assessing just what was taught to see which of our students have it and which of our students may need additional practice with those standards. So we're also going to be doing walkthroughs to make sure that what they're being trained on is what we're seeing in classrooms so that we can help support and make sure that all of our students have access to solid Tier 1 grade level instruction. We know that our students need to build stamina to be ready at the end of the year for the AASA, and we want to make sure that the students are carrying the cognitive load and that we are giving them practice and then they're getting that feedback about how they need to adjust to be able to reach grade level standards. We want to make sure that we're starting with the end in mind so that our teachers and coaches are looking at where do students need to be by the end of this unit, and then what instruction do we need to provide to make sure that all of our students can learn at high levels. And then this is just a graphic we shared with teachers to talk about what each of our data points is, what purpose it's serving. So some of our data is to make predictions, some of our data is to show growth. Specifically, the common summative assessments will be to look at real-time learning. So we just taught something for a few weeks. Did our students learn that? And then what next steps do we need to take? So do we need to pull a small group of students for review? Do we need to do a whole class review? Or did everybody get it and we're ready to move on to the next? So all of the assessments are aligned to grade level standards. They ask questions in a similar way to AASA. But our purpose is really to help students make sure that they're mastering grade level content. And then this is where the common summative assessments will take place. So K-5, they will be their Wonders unit assessments. In 6-8, it'll be Study Sync for ELA. And then our TA class will also be using the Wonders unit assessments because they're not based on the curriculum, they're based on the standards, so it will still be applicable for them. In math, they'll use iReady in all grade levels as their assessment. The TA classes who are using Singapore for math will take standards mastery from iReady because their pacing is different from the classrooms using iReady. So we want to make sure we're assessing them on the standards that they just were taught. And then in science, we'll be using Inspire Science unit assessments for 5th grade and any departmentalized grades. And then 6th through 8th grade, it will be the Amplify unit assessments. And then, as you've asked, what are we going to be doing with the data? So primarily, it will be discussed in PLCs. So what are we going to do for our students who got it, and what are we going to do for our students who didn't? So what next steps do we need to take? And then we'll also be looking at the data as a principal group and as an instructional coach group so that we can make sure if we have one teacher in 3rd grade whose students are killing it, we want to make sure that everybody uses those same strategies across the district. And then we will also take all that data and use that to plan both school professional development and district professional development. So are there any questions I can answer about common summatives?
Ms. Moran?
Yes, can we go back and revisit the what slide, slide 49? Can you explain to me a little bit more about the shifting both assessment for learning and assessment of learning?
Yes, absolutely. So we want to make sure that we have the big picture overview that diagnostic assessments and benchmark assessments provide. We also want to make sure that we have the checkpoints along the way. There's a big gap in time between when we take our beginning of the year benchmark and our end of the year benchmark, and same with our diagnostic test. So these are really the smaller assessments along the way that tell us either students have mastered these standards or they haven't, so that in real time we can monitor and adjust our instruction.
Okay, so that's really the assessment for learning is the growth and predictions, and the assessment of learning is the proficiency.
Correct. Absolutely.
Light bulb moment. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. My other question is, this common summative assessment is a shift, correct? We haven't been as consistent maybe with this as we would have liked to have been in the
Correct.
past.
So in previous years, there were some teams that elected to use the unit assessments, but it was not a requirement across the district.
Okay, and now we're requiring it. So the common formative assessments are things that generally have been kind of homegrown potentially, but we're saying that going forward, all classes, with some of the TA exceptions that you mentioned, will be using the same systems for these assessments, meaning Wonders and iReady and that sort of thing.
Correct. So we will be able to look across the district as a whole. How are our third graders doing in reading? How are our third graders doing in math? And then that will also kind of help us know, as they were talking about some of the demonstrations, if we have teachers where we see their data is really strong, that's a good indication to us that it might be helpful to have other teachers go observe in that room, see what's happening that's yielding those results.
Okay, and so we will also be disseminating best practices, right? That's part of this, you know, we're spreading effective practices across the district.
Correct.
What, do we have everything in place that we need to support the teachers in being successful in these changes? Because I know every time there's a change, it can be frustrating or challenging. And so this all sounds very positive, and I know we're heading in the right direction. I just want to make sure that our teachers can get on board and get excited about this. And sometimes it's hard to do until they see the positive results.
Yes, absolutely. And I think where we are right now, people have a lot of questions, and there is definitely some anxiety because it is new. But our goal really is just to make sure that we have real-time data that we can act on before we get to the end of the year. So we know each grade level students have one chance of mastering these standards, so we want to make sure that we know with certainty where all of our students are so that everyone is learning at high levels.
Great. I definitely appreciate the consistency, and I love that we seem to be utilizing the technology that is available from our curriculum more and more every year.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ms. Wallace.
No questions, but I do appreciate all of Kim's questions because she is really thinking about the parents and what their questions might be. So I do appreciate your questions.
I picked her to go first on purpose tonight. Mr. Mikes, any questions from you?
No questions for me, thanks.
Mr. Owens?
We've got the data, we've got a game plan, now we just got to execute. And so I'm confident that we have the team and the resources to do it. So thank you for all your hard work. Appreciate it.
And just one item of note about our ELA action steps that Allison was not going to brag about, but that I would like to brag about on her behalf. We are the only district in the state who has been approved to provide that training to our teachers. So our teachers have the opportunity to have that as part of their professional day at no cost, and that is not true for our neighboring districts. So I just think that that's very important that we highlight for Allison and her team.
But I do have a question for you. And maybe anybody could answer.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at the common summative assessments, and we're talking about the difference in what they're going to be for K5, 6, 8, and then TA, how can we compare apples to apples if our TA classes, some are doing one of the iReady tests and some are doing a different iReady test, even same grade level at different schools?
Yeah, so the content will be quite similar. What's different is the time of year that they're taking it. So the pacing calendar for Singapore, the standards are taught in a different order than they are for iReady. So the assessment items will look very similar for both the standards mastery and the iReady assessments for the unit tests. It's just when the students are being exposed to the questions, because we want to make sure the standards they just taught are what they're being assessed on.
Okay, thank you. That was all.
Is there another question?
Nope, that's all.
Yeah, if there's no more questions, we have finished our presentation. I think Dr. Davidson may.
I do have a comment, if you don't mind. Madam President, members of the board, are any of you like old TV fans of maybe a show called The A-Team? Do you remember that from, I think it was maybe in the 80s, somewhere in there, right? So they have the leader of the A team was Colonel John Hannibal Smith. And he had a statement that he often said that I think rings true tonight. And that is that he loved it when a plan comes together. And so I just wanted to highlight the efforts of our team here, because this is conversation that's been going on over the last few years about continuing just to make improvements and to be wise around the data that we have, and just really how to make a difference at the student level. And so you got to see some of that tonight and what we have moving forward. The other thing I wanted to highlight is this afternoon we met with the Superintendent's Advisory Committee, the SAC group, and one of the things that we were driving home with them is that in order to do their job as teachers and to do it well, they simply just need the resources. And they need to know there's a safe place to discuss when those things aren't in place. We did that today, and this presentation highlights the three main areas of focus for us in our schools: curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And you got to see how all three of those things are woven together to provide a quality outcome on behalf of our kids, not just in one school, but all 16 of our schools. So just wanted to throw a few positive thoughts out, and again say thanks to the team, and also thank you to you all for the support. So.
Thank you, guys. We really do appreciate all of the work that you put into this presentation and all the information. It's a lot of information, but I appreciate the breaking it up and having everybody talk about their different parts. I feel like this was very helpful for us to understand going forward. I hope that parents, if they're watching this later, are able to learn from this as well, all of the work that's happening and what we're doing and the why. So did anybody else have any other questions or comments about this item? Ms. Moran?
No, thank you.
Ms. Wallace?
No, thank you.
Mr. Mikes?
None for me, thanks.
Mr. Owens? Okay, I think we are done with that. Thank you guys again for the information. Next, we are going to move on to reports. We'll start with Dr. Davidson.
You got to be careful. I still got things to say on this microphone. So, but well, I'll go back to the beginning of our meeting. Just highlight, as Dr. Duzzi mentioned, the idea of student success and our strategic plan around the 3 R's. But you saw tonight guardians and families, staff, students, friends, really demonstrating that we are all doing this together. Perfect example. So much so that with Mr. Nuanez's support, we had 2 groups of people. So the other thing that it highlighted to me is that we need to start finding a bigger boardroom. We have a lot of kids to celebrate. So I'm excited about for that future conversation. Wanted to give a shout out to some of our elected officials, state senators and representatives who have responded to my offer to meet for coffee or lunch. So just a big thank you to Senator Diaz out of Legislative District 22, Representative Carbone out of Legislative District 25, and Representative Montenegro of Legislative District 29, as well as our Mayor of Buckeye, Mr. Orsborn, for just taking some time with me and with some of our team members just to talk about the great work that's happening here in LESD 79. Yesterday, Monday, we had our first apple pie tour of the school year over at Verado Middle School, and just want to say thank you to our principal, Ms. Sartiano, and her team. Just had a really nice visit with our staff, and it's always a good opportunity to meet with the team and hear their voice around some frustrations that might be having, and again, how we can help support them in their endeavors. Today, we had an awesome training with our 7th grade social study teachers in partnership with ASU. We're excited to bring more information to the board on that, but again, making certain that we give the teachers what they need to do great things with our students. And lastly, just a close to an event that's coming in late September, our cafe model with School Connect. We'll have all of our schools represented with different partners to their respective communities, focused all around meeting the needs of the school, helping the school achieve their particular scorecard goals and action steps. So we're excited about that, and if you haven't had an invitation to that, we'll be pushing that out soon. But we're excited for that opportunity just to connect, really simple. And lastly, hats off to our partners at EMCC. They're allowing us to use one of their big training facilities, so we're very thankful and grateful for that. Thank you, Madam Zeidema.
Okay, we are going to move on to reports from board members, and we'll start with Ms. Moran. Sorry, Ms. Wallace, you have to go after her.
It'll be a short one tonight. I attended the Trust Policy Governance Summit, which is a one-day event that included legislative and state Board of Education updates, as well as breakout sessions on First Amendment rights of students and staff, and general litigation mitigation strategies. It was very informative and worthwhile to attend. I'm always grateful to learn something new. On a personal note, I have been out of town an unusual amount recently to provide care for my almost 96-year-old grandma, who is nearing the end of her life. Caregiving is challenging, and my heart goes out to all of our staff and families who find themselves in a similar situation. Hang in there, stay in the present moment, and look for glimmers of peace where you can find them. I will close with lyrics from OAR's song, Peace. I just want to see that smile. We're only here for a little while. I want love. I want peace.
Ms. Wallace?
I don't have anything specific to share, but I just think it's wonderful that we are already a month into school and everything seems to be going wonderfully. And congratulations to all of the teachers and staff at the schools for a wonderful first 6 weeks of school.
Mr. Mikes?
I had a chance to attend the trust policy meetings as well with Ms. Moran, and a lot of great information came away with. Additionally, a 3-day law conference with ASBA, which was really informative for me as this is kind of a new thing for me, to kind of see how it all relates, and hearing a lot of great information and stuff kind of coming down the road for us. But on the most positive note was the celebration assembly I got to attend at Rancho Santa Fe, because you're just sitting back and it was just an incredible celebration and a great vibe. I taught in the past, but it was the first time I sat back and I said to myself, gosh, I really wish I would have tried teaching kindergarten through 5th grade at some point. I don't know, they might have destroyed me, but the excitement in that room for the start of the year was really incredible. So if you could figure out a way to package that up and sell that, that'd be a great idea. So,
Mr. Owens?
I have nothing to report.
This was a very busy month, both personally and as a board member. I too was able to attend the Rancho Santa Fe Lighthouse Assembly, where they got to announce to their students that they were selected as a lighthouse school, which is very exciting for them. I was able to attend when they were doing their walkthroughs with the panel when they were being looked at the end of last school year. And then all summer I thought, I wonder what happened with that. So I was very excited to find out that they did get it, and then we got to go and see. The kids were very excited. Principal Zuniga is a cheerleader, like from her head to her toes, and she always puts on a great assembly with her kids, and the students really are embracing all that is in the Leader in Me and running those assemblies and getting everybody pumped up, and they do a fantastic job. So hats off to everybody at Rancho, and it's just an amazing campus that I cannot say enough good things about. I also attended the Trust Policy Governance Summit, as well as the ASBA Law Conference. The ASBA Law Conference is my favorite conference that they put on every year, and I'm very excited that we get to participate in that. I always walk away learning something new, and I feel like it's the best conference that ASBA does, so I'm glad that we get the opportunity to go. I've also attended multiple meetings with Dr. Davidson and Dr. Doozy to do agenda planning and just kind of keeping aware of what's happening as we're moving through this beginning part of the school year. And I was able to, just this last weekend, I did attend a Special Olympics swim meet where many of our there are several students that were able to participate in the Special Olympics swim meets, and so we got to watch them win some gold medals and silver medals and bronze medals, as well as we had several former students that were very excited to see Ms. Jordan there. They all love her, and so there were several students that were excited to see her that are not students in our district anymore. But the most important things that I got to do was as a mom. Right after our last regular meeting, I left to go and pick up my son, who I got to watch his ship pull in from a 10-month deployment after being gone 10 months, which was only supposed to be 5 and got extended. And so I got to hug my boy after 10 months, which was really great. I got to come home for 2 days after that and then move my oldest daughter into her college dorm. So for 2 nights, I got to have all my cubs in one den, and which is my favorite thing to have, all my babies together. So that was the most important part of my month. But thank you guys for all that you do. And my kids wouldn't be the successes that they are today if it wasn't for this district. So with that, thank you to all our administrators. That's the end of reports for governing boards. The administrators that turned in their reports, so we appreciate all the information that you give us. Again, I tell the community, please, please, please read it. It's really, really great information to know what's going on in our district. They always have fun stuff to share, and with the beginning of school starting, it's just a great information to get from our different schools and our different departments. With that, if somebody wants to make a motion.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Having a motion from Mr. Owens and a second from Ms. Wallace, I'll call for the vote. Ms. Moran?
Yay.
Ms. Wallace?
Yay.
Mr. Mikes?
Yay.
Mr. Owens?
Yay.
I'm also a yay. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.